Maybe I canceled the live.
Serena just had literally a heart attack right before this started.
I was not paying attention. Okay, we're gonna start this off. We got Chinese food for dinner and we just finished eating it, and I have all the little fortunes because I let the kids eat the fortune cookies, but Ian doesn't know what our fortunes are. So I thought I'd read them for you guys, and then Ian
I know what one of them
laugh.
is.
I told him one because it's so good that I remembered it. These, I would say, these are words I live by. A clean tie attracts the soup of the day.
That's a good one.
It's a very good one, and I was laughing too because I was like, I have Chinese food all over my lap. I slopped like Chinese food sauce all over me. Okay, let's see. Doubt is the beginning, not the end of wisdom. No? I like that one.
Yeah.
I was like on all of these, I was like, I have like a video that like I pretty much have like that I've like done this. So doubt is the beginning, not the end of wisdom. And the video for it is my like struggle of flower farming video. I talk about being super frustrated in it because I'm not making enough money. And I say that there's not very many chats coming up, so I was wondering if maybe something's up with the chat, but it looks like it's working now.
Yeah.
So in it, I say, I'm like, the first step to being profitable with flowers is to be unhappy with being unprofitable with flowers.
Yeah.
Right? And I think that's in line with doubt is the beginning, not the end of wisdom. Right? If you don't ask questions, you never get answers.
Definitely one of Serena's strong points is her ability to find answers to questions that she has. She likes to search the internet.
Okay, here's another one. Do not let great ambitions overshadow small successes.
That's like a enjoy everyday thing.
Yeah.
Enjoy all your moments.
But I was also like, this could be like our farm year, right? Like we're not profitable yet, but like we've made strides towards profitability, right?
Okay, and here's the last one.
Okay, last one. Education is the ability to meet life's situations.
I don't know.
I like the other ones better.
Yep.
Obviously, the best one of all is a clean tie attracts the soup of the day.
Yep.
That's the one.
That one's
that's
designed
the winner.
Exactly for the meal.
That's designed to make you feel better.
So what are we talking about today?
Okay, today we are talking about farm planning, and specifically we're talking about my thing that I throw out all the time that I realized no one knows what I'm talking about, which is I want $1,000 per bed to come out of the farm. And I talked about this on our members live, our January members only live video that we do for the membership program. And I was like, this is such a good question. I was like, I don't even think about this. I just like talk about it all the time, but no one knows what I'm talking about. So let's talk about it.
It's not maybe the first way you think to visualize your farm, but when you start looking at all your beds, is like everything has to make you $1,000 at least. Otherwise, chances are it's not worth the space because there's something else that could be there that would make $1,000.
And that's why I was like farm planning.
Yeah.
Right, because the farm planning is very much guided by the $1,000 per bed. And I also thought that it's like useful for all of you guys, because we also another number we throw out all the time is that the farm's going to make us 100,000 gross once it's going.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, how? And the answer is that we're going to have $100,000 beds.
Yeah.
Or not actually. The plan is we're going to have $60,000 beds, and then we're going to have some like crazy high money beds, which would be like inside a high tunnel, right? So
which will not be Choi.
Yeah, definitely not Choi.
Choi's pretty bottom tier.
But Choi, like I don't know if the person saying it
was a member. Choi could be a component.
No, but Choi was the one that I used as the example for the members, because Choi is the perfect example for the $1,000 bed. So before I explain the choy, I'll explain the rules to how we calculate the $1,000 per bed. So the $1,000 per bed doesn't mean that it has to be $1,000 per crop. It means that in the entire course of the season, that bed has to make $1,000, right? So if I have three crops that when we pull it all out, it's $400, but I can plant one of those every 6 weeks, and therefore I can have 3 rotations of it in that one specific bed, then that means that it's $1,200 that I've actually harvested out of there, even though what it was 3 harvests of $400.
Yeah. So something like choy is actually a good starting point because it's out so early.
And choy is the best example because it's $1,000. Choy is $1,000 because, okay, so now we're gonna choy. Okay, so choy, my beds are 50 feet and 50 feet by 4 feet, which includes the path. We grow on 30-inch beds and have 18-inch paths. And so in each one of those beds, when we plant stuff that has 6-inch spacing, like choy is a 6-inch spacing crop. So that means that when we transplant it, we do 4 rows across the 30-inch bed, right? So 4 across, and then each of those rows, because we're spacing it by 6 inches, and the bed is 50 feet, that means that there's 100 per row times 4 means that there's 400 choy.
And then what do we charge for choy?
And what we charge for choy is we charge $2.50.
The math is perfect.
We charge $3 or 2 for 5. And so obviously every time I calculate for my $1,000 calculations, I want to consider that it's going to be sold for the lower price because we don't want to cheat. We want to make sure we actually are getting 1,000.
Yeah,
because the 1,000 is the minimum.
And the problem with choy is that we can't sell
I don't know if you guys heard, but so 400 choy plants, we sell it for $250, which means it's $1,000. And then the other thing that Ian was mentioning before I got into it is we plant choy in April, and it's out, like 6 weeks later. So choy, we could have $1,000 of choy in that bed before we even then go and plant, like a summer crop that could then make us another $1,000.
Yeah.
Okay, now I know what you're going to talk about, so go for it.
It's hard to sell choy. It does sell and people like it, and people would come back for it, but it doesn't sell to everyone, and not everybody wants it. So there is a limit to how much you can bring to market to sell. So just because we grow $1,000 worth in a bed doesn't mean that we're going to sell the $1,000 worth. Now,
right now we're like, we did 28,000. We definitely have more than 28 farm beds.
Yeah.
Right. Like, so, but we like, the goal, that's like long term, right? The goal is to grow that and sell that.
We talk about it all the time, but the roadside stand changes the business. Essentially we're just building everything up to the point where we can have this store on our property. And once we have that, then...
Or even just a busier farmer's market.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're going to be doing 2 farmers markets a week.
Okay, but no, we're not done with the $1,000 bed. Right? Because already I know you're done with the $1,000 bed.
I am teasing.
Okay, we're gonna talk about other stuff after I talk about the $1,000 bed.
But I'm gonna tease it right now. I don't know if we already told you guys. Did we tell you that we bought enclosed trailer to do our Kohlbot?
We're doing a walk-in fridge in a trailer that we can haul behind it.
We originally were gonna do it in our shop, but then we were like, ooh, the shop space is too good to turn into storage space for like walk-in cooler. So we decided to do it in its own little structure. And then the other news, you gotta wait. It's good. It's good stuff.
I made an Instagram post, so I thought that we talked about it in the last live, but yeah, it's gonna be super exciting. Where I was couldn't sleep last night. I was like, oh, what if it doesn't get done? Because we've owned it for a week, and obviously it hasn't gotten done yet.
Yeah.
But I already have the paranoia. I'm like, there's so much work to do.
There is a lot of work to do.
2021 has started and I've done zero of the work. Okay, more on the $1,000 bet, because I saw it already in the comments, which is that it's impossible. How do you do it? That's impossible. And like once you start crunching the numbers, it's like super, super, super possible. Okay, so another one is kohlrabi. At the same time that we're doing the bok choy, we do kohlrabi. It's planted on the exact same spacing, and then we sell the kohlrabi for $2, right? So
or 3 for $5.
Or 3 for $5. So what would that be divided by 5?
It'd be less.
But like, so let's say like probably like $650 ish. I know that's not the exact number, but like, so that's for kohlrabi, which also comes out, and then something completely different gets planted. Lettuce is planted on the exact same spacing as the bok choy. Same pricing, the $3 or 2 for $5. And we can get multiple rotations of head lettuce into a bed, right? So if we were doing just lettuce, and we're talking about doing greenhouses that are going to be covered in shade cloth. Okay, 1 second. Our kids are being crazy.
Being very loud. I'm not sure if our mic's picking it up, but they're downstairs screaming.
We quite often are in the outbuilding, but we're in our bedroom.
Yep.
So. Okay, so lettuce. We're talking about doing a shade house. In the shade house, I don't know, what do you think would be the rotation? Like 2 months in ground for head lettuce with like better conditions. So in the heat of summer, it's really hard for lettuce to grow. So if we get shade cloth, we can grow better lettuce, which means we can grow more lettuce, which means we can make more money, because lettuce is like pure money. Lettuce is the one that's like the most money. So, and then season extension. So it's $1,000 per bed every time we do lettuce. There's a chance that if we're growing it in a tunnel, maybe we could have 3 rotations of lettuce, which now means that each of those beds in a tunnel, let's say 3 beds in a tunnel, made $1,000 per crop out. So $3,000 per bed with 3 beds is $9,000 per tunnel on lettuce, right? So like that's some of the numbers. Some stuff is low, right? Like a perfect example of something that is a very low number is radishes. Radishes, they take up a lot of space. You clump them. The clumps, we do clumps of about 10 radishes, $3 or 2 for $5. And we also have problems growing radishes. That's why you didn't see any radishes this year.
Yeah. We pretty much have to put the insect netting over them.
Yeah, we get like root maggots in our radishes. So those, they have an entire bed of radishes is probably only gonna be $300 that I'd be able to crop out of there. That's like 3,000 radishes.
Yeah.
Right? Like that. Yeah. Something in that range is about what we get for radishes. But radishes are a month seed to harvest, right? So with radishes, so let's say we have that kohlrabi bed, right? We did like kohlrabi, and then we pulled it out, it was $650. We did a planting of radishes, pull that out, it's $300, and now we'll like let it rest for a little bit, let it rest for a few weeks, and then we're doing our fall planting of kale or Swiss chard into it, which is then going to be getting cropped out for another $500. One too that people question, that I'm always like, is it like every time I pick it, I'm like running the numbers, because I'm always like, you better be making me I'm like out in the field like bad.
How much does a carrot bed make?
Carrot beds make so much money.
Yeah.
Because the carrot beds literally have like 10,000 carrots in them. Like I'll like go and I'll be like, oh, I'm gonna go pick 50 bunches of carrots for the market, and it'll be like, I haven't moved.
It'll be like 10% of the bed.
Yeah, it'll be like, what is going on? I don't fully understand exactly how that works. Still doesn't seem like the numbers add up. But I suspect that carrots, like every one of our beds of carrots, is $1,000, and the carrot beds are quicker than an entire season. Some of our lowest value stuff is probably herbs. Herbs can like take a long time, and we don't really sell very much of it. But one that I know people are always like, oh, it's so low value. What's even the point of doing it? Is brooms. I don't know. Is zucchini. So, but I'm pretty sure zucchini does $1,000 because zucchini is like we plant it, it takes up the bed until frost. It's in for a really long time. And then for a lot of people, it feels like such a low value crop. But we sell our zucchinis for $2, and I think
there's vendors that'll sell them at our markets for $1
or 50 cents.
There's vendors that'll sell them for 50 cents. But we have some varieties that you can't necessarily get. We have them in some more delicate sizes that maybe you couldn't get from other vendors. And we bring like a variety of sizes.
Yeah, I bring like monsters.
The monster ones.
People want. I don't like. I'm like.
You cook with the big ones.
I know. People are like, it's such a deal.
Yeah, it's like ding 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 to some people's brains.
Yeah,
and then other people are like, ooh, the tiny ones. But that's how we justify the price.
But but for numbers, so I think that I plant the zucchinis every 2 feet. I think I do it tighter. I think it's about every 1.5 feet. I think I have.
I don't know. I think 2 feet's more like it.
No, because I think there's more than 25 plants in there. I think I have like 35 plants per 50-foot row. And then if every week I go and I pick and there's like multiple zucchinis on every single plant, like for sure in a week, the zucchinis produce like 4. Each plant produces 4 zucchinis. And then they produce, kind of like all of July, all of August, and all of September. So that's like 12 weeks. Let's say they're making $10 times 35. So no. Is it that high? Times.
I don't know. I'm looking at comments. You're the one. You're on your own.
Okay. So, man. Maybe they make a lot of money.
Right. Well, we don't.
So if there's 35, let's even just say 25 plants, right? And each plant produces 5. So that would mean I'm picking 125 zucchinis off of there a week, which we're then selling for $2. So that's $250. And then it's producing for up to 3 months. I usually do actually rip out my first planting of zucchini.
Yeah.
So let's even say 2 months. That means zucchini, which is like it's not worth anything garbage crop, is $2,000 per bed.
And you could plant that in a bed that did choy earlier.
Yeah, totally, right? Because it's a warm season crop. I could follow I could do early lettuce. Followed by the zucchinis, and I could have another bed that was like, it was choy, and then it was lettuce, and then I had a second later planting of zucchinis, right? Once you start like doing the numbers, but you have to be doing the high production, right? Mm-hmm. Like I can't go out there, I can't plant Black Beauty zucchinis, which you like can buy at the dollar store and be getting 5 zucchinis a week that I sell for $2.
Yeah.
Right? Like part of the money is being able to plant the really, really high producing things.
Yeah, the things that are meant for farming.
Yeah. And then the other thing is I can produce, it doesn't matter if my, because zucchinis is another example. It doesn't matter that my zucchini bed produced $2,000 worth of zucchinis. We 100% did not sell $2,000 worth of zucchinis. That's why we don't have like $1 million, like all these, I'm throwing out all these numbers. These are numbers that are like what we're going for.
Yeah, when everything's established.
When everything's established, that like I'm working on being able to make sure all my crops can do $1,000 per bed minimum.
But next year we'll have a lot more opportunity to sell because we're going to do 2 farmers markets a week.
Okay, but I'm not done yet because the most exciting thing.
I know.
Okay. See, Ian, like this is what I do when I'm like outside. This is like me like 10 hours a day, like harvesting, and I'm like, I just picked like 20 of these, and if I sell them for this much money, and I'm times it by this many beds, and I'm like, like the numbers. Oh my god, the numbers.
I do that when I'm doing forestry work. I got the numbers in my head.
But like literally this $1,000 per bed thing, this is what I think about all day, every day when I'm out on the farm. I'm like, money. It's pure money. It's pure money. We just got to figure it out. We just got to get like all the dominoes lined up and like get it. Got to be able to pick it fast enough. But like it's there. The concept's there. It's making it happen. But the most exciting numbers of all, which I don't get too excited about because they're a pain in the butt, is the flowers. This is the only reason why we have flowers, because I'm like, they're so annoying, the flowers. They drive me crazy because they take so much work.
But how much can they make a bed?
Oh, the flowers can make so much money. Okay, so zinnias. So we plant the zinnias I was actually doing the numbers. I think I have the zinnias planted even tighter. I think I actually have 5 rows because I think I did this last spring. Because I always say I'm like 400. The beds are 400, and I think I did some funky things when I set up the flower beds.
Yeah, 5.
And I think that I actually have 5 rows of
500
so I have 500 zinnias in my zinnia beds. 500 zinnia plants. If every single zinnia plant produces 1 flower a week, and then they go like so.
That'd be 50 bunches right there, right?
Yes, that'd be 50 bunches, and if we could sell,
we talked about 10 bunches of 10 for $10.
So, and if we could sell the zinnias for $1 each, right? That's like every week. It's $500.
Yeah.
And the zinnias are like the zucchinis, like they're July, August, September, right? So that means that every month they're producing $2,000 with the potential of up to 3 months, which is then $6,000, which I think is too high because I think they kind of
they start to slow down in September.
Yeah, don't count your zinnias before they bloom. I do think that the number, like the 1 a week, is a little high when I actually go and pick them. But very accurate numbers. I think I can safely say a zinnia bed is producing 4,000 zinnia stems.
Yeah.
Like a year. And then they, if we sell that for $1 a stem, that's $4,000.
That's a spicy bed.
And all the flowers
have similar math.
Have really, really good numbers like that.
Yeah.
Not well. Let me rephrase.
Oh, let me
rephrase that. All the flowers that I am personally excited about have numbers like that, right? Like sunflowers, like zinnias. I think there's potential for amaranth, right? I feel like, amaranth's a hard one because people like amaranth's not a thing.
Yeah, the liatris might have some crazy numbers.
The liatris, oh my god! But yet again, that's like one where I'm like, there's a lot of stuff that I love more than other people.
We sold a lot of bouquets with liatris.
I know. I'm like, it's like the bok choy. Yeah, we need to bring our love. We need to be like, yeah, sure, you can like buy roses anywhere, but like, where other place in the world can you buy only liatris and amaranth bouquet from the person who thinks it's the most beautiful thing that's ever existed? And the answer is only here.
I like to think. Okay, I want to talk quickly about how we're changing our pricing for flowers and what we're selling.
Yeah.
Which I'm gonna do a backstory.
Let me preface this before you go. The reason why I'm less excited about the flowers is, even though those numbers are super high, there's
higher labor costs.
The amount of work that it takes to harvest the flowers makes it so the numbers need to be high, because if the numbers aren't high, it's not going to pay for the labor, right? Because it's more than just the space, it's also the labor. Okay, go.
When Serena and I first met, we lived in a different city called Victoria, and close to there was a restaurant called Fifth Street Grill. And we'd go there all the time. It was one of our favorite restaurants. And one of the best things about it is it just had its menu separated by like these simple pricing, like $5 items, $10 items, $15 items, I think is what it was. And so you would, you just grab whatever price point you wanted and figure out what you wanted. So when I think about, because I really enjoyed that experience, like not $8.99, $7.99, all these different numbers.
I mean, I feel like
I like
you
these
need
simple numbers.
You need more preference or
well, I just like
which is we were broke. We had like no money.
Yeah, but
so it was nice to know we could order a $5 item.
But I'm just saying it's fun to have very simple pricing as a business, and so we like to bring that simple concept to our pricing, where there's lots of items that are kind of like the same price, and we'll just make them in sizes so that we can have those same price numbers. It especially helps when you're going through less customers in a rush at a farmer's market to be able to add the numbers up in your head really easy, because people just grab a bag and they're like, are you counting all this? And I'm like, yep, just keep grabbing stuff. And I have to kind of like in my head. There's no cash register. The point is, we're changing our flower pricing. Last year we were making $10 bouquets. We started doing some bigger bouquets at the end of the year a little bit, but not so much for market.
Ian was resistant, because I'd been talking to you guys too about doing the $20 bouquets, and Ian was like, no one's gonna want a $20 bouquet if they could get a $10 bouquet. So to kind of deal with Ian's resistance, I made some $20 bouquets to like to let him have eyes on it.
They looked like they were worth $20, right? They legitimately looked like they were worth the amount that we were going to charge for them. So $20 is now our price point for bouquets. $10, we like the $10 price point still, but we don't want to do bouquets for that, so we're going to do bunches. So you could get a bunch of zinnias, right? Would be what we'd most likely be selling, where it will still look great, but the labor isn't nearly as high from our perspective to be able to, put that out there for $10.
Yeah, because so bunches, the way that, and I talk about them all the time, and they're probably one of those jargon things that I don't realize. So I throw out the term straight bunches. I'm like, we're doing $10 straight bunches. And what that means is that we're doing, like
all the same.
A 10 pack of the same type of thing, or like maybe like a 12. Like, for the zinnias, maybe they'll be like 12. It'll depend on
a lot of the labor is in the arranging.
Yeah.
And so
or
not
just
having to do
the
that.
processing, right? And so the work of making straight bunches is out in the field. I pick strip, holding like all, the bunch in my hand, grab an elastic it into the bucket. It's now ready to go to market.
Yeah, then it just has to go in, a cooler room to kind of cool down, and it's ready to go, right? So we're excited about this new like pricing strategy for our flowers. It gives people the ability to still be in at that $10 price point, because I think a lot of what we're offering is like the nice flower. Like it's a cool flower, right? We're growing some fun stuff, and then it gives Serena some like creative outlet to make some more to put a bit more time into her arrangements at $20. It just gives her the ability to put more stuff in there, because at $10 you can only put so much time into a bouquet when you're arranging it, and then you're like, I got to move on to the next one. I'm only selling this for $10. You have to be, you can't be too emotional about things that you sell when you're farming.
Which is why I think I'm the perfect person to sell flowers, because I am most definitely not emotional about the flowers.
Yeah. And so like I'm excited to have some nicer looking bouquets. Like when Serena's making them, they look really nice. So I think they'll look great from, the perspective of making the stall look good. And then, my personal preference, I like just a bunch of zinnias. I like zinnias. I could look at them all day. So
well, and like I'm laughing at Morgan's comment here, and I think that part, like, to understand more of like what we're why we come up with the ideas that we come up with, is that the customer that we have is totally different than what you would necessarily think of as a flower customer. So like, I laugh at Morgan being like, oh, what's your love worth for her? Men are not buying these.
Well, some are, but
the overwhelming
majority
of the flower customers are women buying flowers for themselves.
Yeah.
And
I'd say our biggest customer, I talked about this in another live video, probably the most consistent, largest sale of every week at a farmer's market, is a mom buying a bunch of bouquets for, a couple daughters, say. she might buy 3 or 4 bouquets at a time because she's like, here's one for you, here's one for you, and here's one for our table or something. Here's one for your room. Here's one for your dorm, your apartment. It's their little weekly thing, and that's like the way that we sell the most money at a time, right?
Yeah, and also the intention from the very beginning is that we were not going to be a florist, right? Because the intention with the flowers from the very beginning was that they were going to be basically like grocery store flowers, right? They were going to be something like pretty for when people came to buy our veggies, and there for the impulse buy.
Yeah, at a price point.
At a price point where you don't have to feel guilty about throwing one into your basket. Yeah. So we're very intentional about the $10 price point from the beginning because we wanted to position ourselves as a grocery store flower option, right? And because of the other thing too that I think a lot of people don't necessarily understand, it's hard to really know what we're selling on the camera because what we show you all the time are the buckets, right? And we show you that because they look great. But the buckets usually are 7 bouquets. Yeah. They could be 8 bouquets, right? So that bucket, if you wanted what that bucket looks like, that's like a $70 or $80 purchase. Yeah. Right? So
plus the bucket.
Yeah, and the bucket is not for sale because
you can go to a hardware store and get your own for $4.
Here, well, no, those buckets.
Oh, the metal ones.
The metal buckets, right? Those metal buckets. The cost for us is like $20 or $30. And florists, when they do vases, they mark them up by 3 times, I think. Yeah. So if I was being a florist, right, that bucket would have been $60 plus $80 worth of flowers, and now it's $140 purchase there. And I don't think that most florists could get $140 for our buckets.
No.
The other thing too is grocery store flowers, which are sad looking. No one goes oh, look at those sad looking grocery store flowers. They go, oh, what, $10 is worth $10.
Yeah.
So our flowers, I talk about it all the time. They get smashed down to the market. I'm whacking the cost.
They are. They're not treated that poorly.
Yeah. I know they're not treated that poorly, but I'm I like these cosmos because whack, whack, whack. Look, they still look fine.
It does make me laugh when you do that.
And they do. They look fine, right? Because I'm purposely picking things because we are not handling things.
Try doing that to a dahlia.
Oh, garbage flowers. Can't smash me. Any flower that you can't smash against the wall is not a flower for me. Yeah, but so the flowers that we have, they don't have to be perfect because they're grocery store flowers. The bunches are really petite. They're basically, we never hold them in our hand and show you guys. But they're about this big, from the top.
And then they'd open up when you put them in a vase.
Yeah, they'd open. I have them closed tight for.
But they're still only going to be so big.
But they're not the type of thing
you can't use your big vase.
Yeah, you don't put them in the center of your table for oh, we're having a special event in this big vase that they open up. They're the type of thing that is on your kitchen counter. They're the type of thing that's on your bedside table. They're the type of thing that you put in your bathroom. They're these small things, and because of that, it's it's just a different customer, and they can justify always having this little bit of color. And it's it's easy to work around. I personally every once in a while I bring in a big vase and I'm what am I doing? Taking up now I can't use my table because it's covered in flowers. Obviously.
Instead of covered in crayons and markers and
I'm
coloring books.
I'm these flowers are in the way. Whereas the $10 bunches, because we bring the $10 bunches in from time to time. We almost always have one.
What's exciting?
I don't know.
Our big news.
Okay. I don't even know what Ian.
Well, we talked about it a little bit. We're not going to say everything, but we are getting an employee this year, and we are super excited because the person that we're hiring is experienced, and we've known them for a long time, and they are a super hard worker. Like, you know, a lot of the farm tasks that we do,
we're gonna be struggling to like.
Serena's nervous because
I'm like, I don't know if I have enough seeds. I need to go shopping again.
Because the woman we're hiring is very, very good at all that stuff. So we're just like, we're going to be able to do this and this and this and this, and that's why we're going to be doing 2 farmers markets, because we need more opportunities to sell, to bring in like more income.
Yeah, we need to sell more if we're going to grow more.
We might set up in front of the house like 2 days a week, like a Friday and a Sunday. We might sell in front of the house.
Yeah, we literally were talking about this afternoon. We're like, where are we gonna sell this all?
The farm is gonna look so good.
I'm gonna go check on the kids.
Yep. our kids are just coming in the door. Yeah, like she is an absolute workhorse. So she's gonna be able to weed the garden. You know, like we're gonna have her for about 24 hours a week. We're talking about 3 shifts, and like all of this, just having a whole other person to like help us do this. We're going to be able to really pound through a lot of the infrastructure projects. You know, we already want to have a lot of that stuff kind of set up in the next couple months, so that going into, because once March hits, like the nursery sale just starts taking all of our time, even though we don't sell until like the first week of May or the last week of April sort of time. But those 2 months before that, there's a lot of care for starting all the seedlings and watering them and all that type of stuff. So the deadline is, you know, basically if you don't get it done by the end of February, the infrastructure isn't really getting done. But now we're gonna have help, so that, you know, that kind of frees up my time a little bit, so I can, you know, be doing stuff, and then the farm is just gonna look amazing. We're so stoked. We're just so stoked about having the walk-in cooler too, like having this trailer on our property now, and, you know, like it's in our name. So now we just have to actually do the construction parts. We already have a cool bot. It's been sitting on a shelf for a little while. So I just have to, you know, kind of like mock up some plans, figure out supplies, and then go do a run to a hardware store. And then once I have supplies, I can start actually, you know, working away at this walk-in cooler, which also is gonna like revolutionize our workflow. You know, it's the first thing that most market gardeners really like kind of go after, is building the walk-in cooler, because it just helps you so much for, you know, your workflows for before market. Right now we'll be able to kind of spread out a lot of that harvest, so that it's not just, you know, the night before market. And like, because those nights were killing us. We worked a lot last year, and we didn't really like sleep a lot during the summer, and making the videos was a lot of work as well. So it's nice that we made it through, but it's not the type of thing that you can just count on, you know, that you can just do that year after year. Because it's like, if one person in the family gets sick in some way, or, you know, just like you're just one bad thing happening away from like everything falling apart, because you're just running at absolute maximum capacity. So it'll be nice to just have that that extra labor there to kind of smooth everything out in case anything goes wrong. And like I want to make a lot of like content this summer. I really want the farm to be like looking good, because, you know, when you're in person, you know, everything kind of looks really good. And the way that our eye looks, you know, we see something and we kind of focus on that object. But the way a camera sees it, you know, it just takes this rectangle and then it, you know, puts it on there, and it gives everything kind of the same weight. So when you just have like a little bit of weeds or anything, like maybe you guys don't notice it as much as I do, but it drives me crazy when I see like mess and clutter in our videos. So I really want to work on having everything be like just crazy crisp and like looking so fine. That's one of the things that we're going to be able to do with like this extra help, which is, you know, you've probably heard me talk about it on lots of videos where I'm like, oh, like this junk pile area, like it looks bad. Oh, and the junk pile area, I'm gonna get some shipping containers, And we're just waiting until, because we got a bunch of snow and it's kind of been melting, and we've got a hill. So where the trucks have to go to drop the shipping containers off, we have to wait till it's like a good time for the truck to arrive. But we already went and kind of like priced them out and stuff and talked to the company. And so we're going to get two 20-foot shipping containers. And inside those, like, we're going to kind of have them spaced a little bit apart. And then we'll build like a little roof in between it. So we'll be able to park like the lawn tractors and all that type of stuff in there. And then all the junk that's in the outbuilding can go into those shipping containers, and we can set up the shop as like a workspace, and then that frees up what we use. You've probably seen like us doing the bouquets and stuff in that like kind of kitchen living space area. That area can get cleaned up even more, so that if we, when all the restrictions are done, if we want to do like bouquet making classes or whatever, then we have the space kind of already set up to do that. We're talking about, like, we think that maybe bouquet bar, like Nicole and Flower Hill Farm does, might work for us a little bit, and we could set up the flowers in that area. And we're talking about maybe doing, again, when restrictions are done, doing like an open house on the farm. And I was just kind of going through a bunch of the fun things that will be different this year, and talking about how we're getting shipping containers.
Oh yeah.
Which will clear out all the space from the shop and from
Ian's dream. More storage.
Well, I like the outbuilding is basically like almost all storage space right now, and there's like little bits where you can like stand and work. But I basically want that outbuilding to be like different workstations and open space.
We're gonna need to use the garage part more, because the plan is other jobs that Ian needs to do before oh my god, yeah. There's so much work we have to do.
Well, I was saying basically by the end of February we have to get our infrastructure projects pretty much done. Yeah. We start moving into,
like 2 years ago we built like a cover to be like a washing station, and then it's just been like loaded up with like garbage and tarps and broken tools.
Yeah.
And we're like, well, we'll get to it.
We
need to get to it. Oh my god, it's gotta get done. It's gotta get done.
It's tough because there's so many bulky things that you need to buy farm. Oh, our little boy's coming. Come here. Whoa. Coming for a visit.
He was getting abused by the children.
Oh yeah.
That's why. He was hiding outside, and then he was like, "You're here, let me in." And then the kids grabbed him.
Yeah, the kids love grabbing the cats. This cat though, he doesn't like getting grabbed as much. Our other one, Buddy, he's
Buddy's there's something wrong with Buddy's brain. Buddy likes like the kids, but he doesn't like his head to be like pet. But if like the kids grab him and they're like, "Arr!" He's like purr 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 purr.
Yeah. And we're like, put him down! Don't do that to him! And then they'll put him down, and he'll just be like, he just like stays there. We're like, well, I guess he likes it. Can't see how like these super energetic 4 and 6 year olds couldn't be absolutely terrifying as a cat. But
I mean, the crazy thing. So this is Mew. Ugh, this one here is Mew, and Mew is an old man. Mew is like what? How old? 12?
No, he's like 10 or 11, I think.
He's an old man. And he's like, he plays with Buddy all the time. Like they'll do like the kitten play thing. And like, he's fine with the kids grabbing him and stuff. He's a nice old guy.
Yep. He's Serena's cat hat.
Yep. I know. I keep waiting. Though, I mean, I do know enough about Pokemon to know that technically Mewtwo isn't the evolve of Mew.
Oh,
they're separate. They're separate Pokemons. Mewtwo is actually, they found the genetic material for a Mew, like Jurassic Park style, and then they like recreated a Mew in the lab, and that's what Mewtwo was.
This guy got his name because when he was a little kitten.
But he does look like a Mew.
He just go meow meow, and so
his name.
He would talk.
His original name was Fleetwood Mew.
Yeah,
and we were gonna call him Fleetwood for short.
Or Woody.
No, we were gonna call him.
I was gonna call him Woody.
But then all he did was cry. Yeah. And so we'd be like, Mew!
We'd sarcastically start crying back at him because he would not shut up. So we'd be like, Mew, Mew. And he'd be like, meow, meow, meow.
Yeah, he liked it.
And then we were like,
okay,
Mew.
whatever.
It was more of a call than a name, but then now it's his name. And then we thought that he was as whiny as a cat could get, and then we got Buddy.
Yeah. Ugh. But when Mew cries, he's slightly cute. When Buddy cries, he's annoying. But
still a good cat. Cat's a cat, you know?
Yeah, if we were worried about wearing cat hair, we would live a sad life.
We used to have a black cat, a white cat, and a gray cat. So no matter what, at all times, you'd have cat hair on you that was visible. Didn't matter what you wore.
Yeah. There's like cat hair everywhere. You know. I don't know. I interrupted you, but I don't actually.
I was just talking about how like all the different aspects that having an employee will help out on, and how I was feeling like, you know, we did it. We worked this super hard year last year, but we really shouldn't count on being able to work at 110% every year.
What are you saying?
That's
why I married you.
I'm saying that like there's your one injury or your one bad thing away from, you know, everything falling apart. Because you're just stretched too thin, right?
Yeah.
And
I don't feel like we worked too hard.
I felt summer. Like we didn't.
I felt like we just like didn't work efficiently enough.
There's definitely efficiencies on the farm that will like change it like crazy. You know, like how much time does it take us to clean the lettuce for salad mix? Like so long. We have a bubbler, then.
You know, the salad mix wasn't too bad once we bought that spinner. It really wasn't.
The spinner right? Definitely helped.
Like, because like you know.
But even that was a big change from before. Like when the first year we were doing it, we're using like a household salad spinner.
Yeah.
And because we were going to do the
makes you
the
appreciate
washing machine.
An industrial salad spinner.
Yeah.
Like.
So then we got a much bigger one this past year.
Like 5-gallon one.
Yeah, and it just went through it a lot faster.
You know, like when we were doing lettuce, it was like 5.
The point
loads.
is,
I know
a good wash station makes a ton of difference. You know, how much time did we spend shifting things around in the fridge so that we could have stuff in the fridge? Like, you know,
I mean,
hours over the course of the year.
For me, it also is that having the walk-in cooler is going to be transformative, right? Because it's going to go from like I putz around most of the week, like, you know, I do some weeding, I do some planting, and then oh my god, it's go time! Like, get it all done. Also, like every day I can go and I can harvest for a couple hours, and it's like in the fridge, right? I could like be like, let's spend a couple hours and get salad mix done, and then salad mix is done. It doesn't have to all be in the exact same day.
Also, it's gonna be like, it'll be like the employee will show up and she'll be like, like, what do you want me to do? And we'll be like, well, how about you do that? And she'll be like, I already did that. We're like, well,
what do you mean?
What? Because she gets stuff done so fast.
Oh yeah, I mean, like, you know, she'll like.
She'll be like.
She'll know what to. The nice thing about her is she'll know what to do, right?
There's no
it'll
training.
Be like we'll have like a weekly meeting all together where it's like this is what we want to get done, and then like, you know, she can just like work, right?
Shipping containers do make good walk-in coolers, but we're gonna build another walk-in cooler when we build our roadside stand. It's gonna kind of be like the front half of it is sales and the back half of it is like a big walk-in cooler.
Yeah, we're talking like what? Like the building would be like 30 by 30 or like 40 by 40.
So at that point in time,
literally half of it would be cooled. And it would be and we're talking a big space because we're talking something where we could buy what are they called? A pallet crate of fruit.
Yeah.
And like have it in cold storage. Because we can sell 50% of non-self-produced things at a farm stand.
Yeah.
Is the rule. So we could sell other people's like fruit.
Yeah, we could just sell like other people's. We get an organic cherry supplier and just sell organic cherries, and we could probably, as many of them as we could bring in, we could sell.
I don't think we do meat.
Yeah.
I think like there'd be no point. It's too expensive, and the markup is like
too hard to source.
Right, like we're better off because we can we still have to produce 50%, right? So we do veggies. There's lots of veggies we wouldn't do. Like it'd be nice to get potatoes and cabbages and broccoli and things like that in, and then it would be nice to have some fruit, but we're we're surrounded by fruit stands. So the thing that we've talked about is what we would do to differentiate ourselves from all the other fruit stands is that anything that we buy in would be organic, right? Yep. So even though we're not certified organic, we know how it's grown. We know there's no pesticides. There's not even organic pesticides sprayed on it. So, the stuff that we grow, we know how it's grown. And then the stuff that we sell, we can have that guarantee that it's organic. And then we are a different option for what's in the area. We're talking about chickens today and selling eggs, and it's like
the math behind chickens is horrible. I think in most areas it is because people are so used to a very cheap price on eggs that any $1 more and they're very resistant to buy them. But for us, the costs are so substantial that we don't think that it's worth the labor, right? So we're talking about maybe downsizing our chickens just to enough for us and kind of enough for a little perimeter run along our property, because every week we have to wash all these eggs, wash eggs. Well,
I mean, anytime we want to downsize our chickens, all we got to do is take them and throw them over the fence.
Yeah, our neighbors have just kind of, I don't know, 50 or 60 feet, maybe 100 feet that way. There's our neighbor's chicken coop that has hundreds of chickens. So, their chickens always get into our yard, and I'm always throwing them over the fence. We just take.
I know every time I throw one over, I'm like, hopefully this is theirs and not one of ours that's snuck out.
Because they have a few different breeds.
Everyone has the exact same chickens as us, because we all buy our chickens from the same place. I saw some questions okay, so eggs. I saw it doesn't matter even if we went up, even if it was $7, instead of $6, it's still we're okay, because I was saying to Ian, I was let's say we could buy wholesale eggs and we can get them for $3 and we sell them for $6, and we sell 300 or we sell 100 dozen a week in the farm store. That's $300, and now it has to have its own fridge and it has to have its own space, and it's just the logistics.
They have to be washed, right?
No, if we were buying but even if we didn't have to do the work, even if it was just just have a fridge and
but you have to
sell them,
handle them carefully and stuff.
Yeah, it's even then it's
which
I don't think that it's worth the effort. Especially because there's many eggs in the area.
My points for eggs would be that nobody would sell us eggs on a wholesale level that would be anywhere close, because everybody who has chickens around here has a waiting list of people. They're as many chickens as I have, I'll sell all the eggs every day. They sell through, right? We're not selling through ours right now because we're not trying to sell, because we get 2 dozen a day, so it's not really worth our time to deal with all the restrictions and stuff to try to.
I think that's do they draw in other customers?
Right? They do, and we talked about that.
We talked about this because I was but I thought that eggs, people will come for the eggs and then buy other stuff.
Will come for the eggs and buy other stuff. People will also just come for the eggs.
But yeah, basically what Ian was saying to me is that it's not like everyone who bought eggs from us at the market was also buying other stuff.
Yeah, there's lots of
people who are just oh, well, everyone else is sold out of eggs, so I'm just gonna buy a carton of eggs with you. Yeah. So it's not it's a loss leader that guarantees. I feel so the flowers, when I don't make my $500 a week on flowers and I'm complaining that, and I'm like, oh, they might as well just be a lost leader. At least the flowers make the stand beautiful, right? So like even
they have purpose.
Even if they have purpose, even if they're not being highly profitable. And flowers have the potential to be highly profitable. Whereas eggs, it's not like they guarantee that we're gonna like make all this extra money.
The reality is that that we only have so much time.
Yeah. There's better things to spend.
So we have to prioritize our time for the things that make the most money. It's kind of like a business where it's like every square foot has to make this much money. Every amount of our time input has to make a certain amount of money. And eggs are just, they like, even at $6 a dozen, by our calculations, they're not making us like,
they're making $0.
They're making literally,
they're making negative dollars at $6 a dozen.
Yeah, because
when you count in the labor.
Now,
right? And like,
I like having chickens, and we're still gonna have chickens, or we're talking about ducks as well, or like a small flock of both.
Yeah, the issue with ducks, if we could just have ducks, or what am I trying to say? If we were in an area that wasn't a desert and where like water wasn't like instantly evaporating, we would have ducks because we like ducks. We think they're cute, and
we'd have ducks as pets.
Yeah, we did and like I guess you can eat their eggs and stuff, but mostly we just like have ducks because ducks are hilarious.
Yeah, when they walk around, they're just funny.
But we're so dry here that it makes it really difficult.
Yeah,
and
everything's
we're
sand.
hot and dry in the summers too, so it's not even like, well, just like put a pond in. It's like we put a pond in and it's like, whoa, like, you know what? We're really good at growing pond scum.
Yeah.
In this, like,
lots of people are anti-duck. Our neighbors had, they had 4 ducklings that were raised by a chicken a couple years ago. And so like this hen, she would walk around and she had her little 4 ducks follow her around everywhere that, started off the season as just these tiny little things. And then it was these,
You want this?
And by the end of the year, they're fairly good size. Oh, we got a crazy cat.
Got a crazy cat. He's going after the fortunes. He's going after the cookie fortunes. There you go.
The switch flipped in his brain.
Yeah.
He's got his big eyes now.
Yeah, I like ducks. I think they're cute, but I mean the other thing, I see the land fertility of chickens. Like honestly, like we just are gonna buy compost forever. There's like no world in which a 2-acre farm can make $1,000 per bed and also grow its own compost.
Like the problem that we have with that is it's like we don't want the chickens being in any sort of like garden beds that they're gonna poop on any lettuce or anything.
Yeah,
like that.
we're very aggressive about no cross contamination because I'm like, I don't want to be California. I don't want to give anyone the E. coli or whatever it is that always is poisoning people.
And so
there's all these food safety things that you don't have to think about until you're a farm, and then you need to think about them.
Yeah, because when you sell food, it's like
you
have to be responsible.
Just because you can eat it and it's fine. Like, what if like someone with like an autoimmune disease eats it and then like they get like super sick and it's like something that wouldn't normally affect anyone, or like someone feeds it to like their baby and their baby gets sick. You don't want to do that.
You want to just talk about sad stuff now?
No, I'm talking about food safety. This is a topic that's important that no one ever talks about. Honestly, for me, this was like when I started the farm and was like doing all my original farm planning. It was like so hard to find anyone who had like food safety info for really small farms. There's like lots of like food safety and all these like programs that you have to do when you're like bigger or if you like sell into grocery stores. But just to like get some like quick questions answered, like, oh hey, like like what's a safe, is this plastic like a porous material that's like safe? It's like sorry.
That's a ready for Betty alarm for kids.
Yeah, it's it's something that I think that is important to think about, that lots of people don't think about until it's too late. Until it's too late. You were covered in cat hair.
I'm covered in cat hair, yeah. We still have a crazy cat down here. I had something to say and then you just kept talking.
Sorry.
What did everybody think of that money video? It looks like people were talking about it a lot at the start. That was a fun video. I think it turned out really well. The how much money we made on YouTube. Now you guys all know our numbers.
Yep, all the numbers. Oh, thank you. You know that number too now. 2.
we were like, wow, this video turned out really well though.
And yeah, I thought we made it and I was like, Ian, like, what's the point of this video? I'm like, is this gonna be like people are like, we don't want to hear you like brag about making money on YouTube. I'm like, you never make a point, and Ian was like, the point is how much money we made. But then I went back and I watched it and I was like, okay, yeah, no,
it flows well.
It tells a story.
Yeah, it was like a fun lens.
Yeah, YouTube is pain. YouTube is such pain. We love you guys. We hate making YouTube videos, but we love you guys.
I like making YouTube videos.
I hate making YouTube videos.
No, you don't.
But I love you guys.
Sometimes you're cracking up at the computer.
Okay, it's like flowers, right? Like obviously I'm like, oh my god, they're beautiful.
I would say I have an actual passion for making videos. I really enjoy it.
I wish Ian had a passion for quickly making videos.
There's no quick way to make a video.
There's quicker ways. If it was your passion.
No, I'm like pretty proficient now, I'd say.
Ian makes really good videos. It's just it drives me crazy that the videos take so long.
We're gonna like when we started, it was like, oh, you're clicking here and you're like, you're kind of taking your time. But now you're like, oh my god, I'm sitting at the computer. There's like the kids are fed. They're not bugging me. Serena's doing something. I have my window to make my video, and you just have to start doing it because you're like, click this, click that, click this, and so you just have to be like, clickety click, 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 and then.
Well, don't do that. If you click like that, then you won't. Then you'll click wrong and delete your entire video.
Yeah, we had. Was it this video? When I was
no, it was.
I was putting the footage together for one of the videos the other day, and that cat jumped up on the keyboard and did something that we don't even know what did. And I was so mad because it deleted I hadn't saved it yet, and it deleted all this footage that I had been like going through all the computer trying to find. And
there.
Remember, I was really mad.
Ian had to walk away.
I was like, I can't be mad at a cat. Like, what are you gonna like? Oh, you jumped on the keyboard.
Ian
I was like, I have to walk away. So I'm so mad.
And I was like, I better see if I can find this. And I actually did end up finding something that had in like I was diving deep,
Yeah.
I was in the Matrix.
The computer crashes all the time, and then you load up the file again, and it's like, oh, we have this auto save. Do you want to load that up? And it's like, sure. And then, like almost everything's there. But this one didn't give us the option for an autosave, like to load up, and it didn't.
Yeah, and the saved thing that I found wasn't even like in the saved video. It was like in some weird network thing.
Yeah, one of the hardest.
Oh, do you have a drone?
Yeah.
Ian got himself a drone for Christmas.
We had a drone before, but I crashed it into trees, and
many times.
I lucked out because it came with like a spare. It had 4 propellers, and it came with like a spare one of each. And every time I crashed it, I'd break a different propeller, and then I broke all of them. And there was and then I crashed it again, and I was like, oh, the propeller's still good, but now it's like super loud, and when you're flying it, you're like, I don't really want to be within 50 feet of it because it feels like it's just gonna like the propeller's gonna fall apart.
My opinion,
and then all of the footage from it is like blurry because it's just got a bit of a like.
I was like, you can buy new propellers, but I do think that the last time he crashed it, like something actually, he like dismounted the camera, so I think there was actual shake in the camera.
We've also been talking a little while about we wanted a drone that we could like point the camera straight down for some like different perspectives, or point it straight out so we could get some more like. Here's our beautiful like lake that we look down at views type stuff.
Here's what the lake looks like, which we can't see.
Yeah.
So we're excited. We're
up in our game.
I don't know what it is.
It's a Mavic Mini or something.
Yeah, DGI. Yeah, it's like
we're excited because it's also one of those ones that are below the size requirements, so it doesn't have to be like, registered. It doesn't go in those same restrictions.
Yeah, we don't like anytime we fly them because there's lots of helicopters in our area.
Yeah.
Because here's the Okanagan orchard joke. What does a rainbow sound like?
I don't know, Serena. What does a rainbow sound like?
It sounds like a helicopter.
Yeah.
Because every time it rains here, the helicopters come out and they fly over the cherry orchards to blow all the water off of the cherry fruit. So it's ridiculous. Every time there's a rainstorm, it's like it sounds like a Vietnam War movie is going on.
Yeah.
But because of that, like we'd never want to have a drone out and then like a helicopter's like flying around.
Yeah. So our personal rule is there's like some trees at the top of the property, and we just basically try to keep
never
below
taller than the
level of the trees.
Which is like.
But then when you can point it straight out, then you can see the far shots. Nice. And when you point it straight down, you can have that interesting perspective as well.
Mew.
Is he all scratched up?
No, it looks like maybe the kids were cutting his like eyebrows off.
Well, I don't think they'd do that.
I don't know.
Somebody was asking where we are. We're in the Okanagan, which is
we're in Kelowna, British Columbia, Canada.
It's kind of like if you go on the dry side of the mountains, kind of all the way up the west coast, we're the last bit of dry stuff before it just.
Yeah, we're halfway between the coast and the Rocky Mountains.
Yeah.
And so we're in this like weird valley, which is like a semi-arid desert. We get 13 inches of precipitation a year, and the majority of that falls in June, not even in the winter.
Not the majority of it, but the highest rainfall month. When you say the majority, it sounds like over 7 inches of rain, but the highest rainfall month is June.
Oh no, the highest precipitation, because we get more water in June than even like snow in the winter months. Yes, this is the numbers.
June is our wettest month.
Yes. So we get more in June. We get more rain in June, or we get more moisture in June than even the amount of moisture we get in a month like January or February. Is that more clear?
Yeah.
I know you guys understood me clearly, and Ian didn't.
You were.
But now we are all 100% clear that it's wet in June.
Locals.
Yeah, and so we get with the wind. It's very, very dry. There's like hardly any humidity here, which is great. Yeah, like I like it.
Cheat mode for growing.
And then we get hot summers like July, August, September. And then we get winters that can get down to -20, but it usually kind of sits in, below 0, -10 Celsius range.
People are siding with you.
Yeah, I was pretty sure it was clear. Obviously, they're gonna side with me. Oh, we didn't do our vote yet. We were supposed to do this in the beginning.
Team Flower.
Speaking of siding with me.
Team Flower.
So Team Veggies. Team
Flower.
Or Team Flowers. Let's do a roll call. What do you guys? What are the votes? Team Veggies representing. Not only representing Team Veggies,
yeah, Team Flowers,
but representing Team Veggies.
Team Flowers way ahead. Way ahead.
Well, that's because people who like veggies are practical people, and so they ditch on lives that go longer than an hour.
No, I'm ready to call.
Oh, no, look. All those veggies coming.
I was about to call
coming
it.
in.
Flowers coming back.
No, that was Team Veggies.
Flowers.
Whatever. We know the official. We know. It's like we both win, right?
We both.
The answer is that we both win.
That's how we've stayed together for so long.
Yeah.
We say we both win all the time.
But we do, right?
I know, but it was kind of funny because last spring when we were doing the seedling sale, we had to run so many things. Whenever it would be like, oh, it's going to get below freezing tonight, we'd have to bring all the plants inside the garage, and so there was so much walking back and forth. And my son
Like,
just wanted to be around me all the time, which was like, you're not gonna say no to that, right? That's what being on a farm is all about, getting to hang out with your family. And Sam was like, let's race. Every single time we'd go back and forth, which would be, you have to go like 30 times or whatever. And then he'd want to hold my hand, and then he'd want to cross the finish line at the exact same moment. And then he'd say, we both win. We both win. And sometimes he'd get distracted. He'd be playing in the greenhouse, and I'd already have the trays loaded up or something. And I'd start walking, and then he'd start chasing after me with like tears in his eyes. He'd be like, Daddy, we both win. We both win. And it just made me laugh, right? It was pretty funny. And
unfortunately, our daughter isn't.
She's very competitive.
She doesn't understand the everyone wins concept.
Yeah.
She's like, only I win.
Team Tomato.
And the way that I guarantee that I win is I make the rules. And if the rules aren't working for me, I morph the rules so they work for me.
Somebody pointed out that tomatoes can be considered a fruit.
No.
So it's a bypasser.
No.
It's a uniter.
No.
Because we're all tomato-based life forms.
The reason why
flour is definitely one today, I'd say.
No, I don't know. I think that is definitely selective. Mm-hmm. Selective.
We should start wrapping up though, because we do have to get into school zone.
I know, we got to get our kids to bed.
Yep.
And like, wouldn't it be amazing if we could have like a single live that isn't like longer than a movie?
We do like to talk.
Well, I don't know. I feel like this live was pretty good because I explained what I said I was going to talk about in the title, like within the first 20 minutes. Mm-hmm. And normally we're sitting at 2 hours, and that's the
last 20 minutes.
And I haven't actually gotten to the end of that specific
Serena has so many words that have to come out of her every day that like I'll be in the house in like one room doing stuff, and she'll be like words will be coming out of her. And then I'll like walk into another room. She'll just follow me.
I'm like talking to him. I'm like talking to him, and he just like walks away. Like I'm not talking. And I'm like, I'm telling you something. And he's like, I'm not listening.
It's all perspective, right? But I like your words. I'm just saying there's a lot of your words.
Whatever.
Well, do you want to end it here?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you so much for joining us, everybody. We really appreciate it. And I'm excited because it's starting to feel like, next year is taking shape. We're gonna
once my seeds show up, then that is go time.
Yeah.
But they probably aren't gonna be here anytime soon.
Our seeds that we ordered early.
Our seeds that I ordered in December that are stuck trying to make
still
their way through the
customs
through the American postal system.
Yep.
But yeah, thanks so much for hanging out, guys.
We'll see you next time.
Sorry. See you next week.